It's Footballand!
Yes.
I've got a problem with my introductions. I listen to them back and I just sound like a constipated weasel. And I need to rectify that, but not this week because it's Footballand!
It's Footballand!
The constipated weasel is back.
This is Footballand, and we are building the world's first football theme park.
Yep.
We've got $1 billion to spend. We have numerous car parks, numerous rides.
Many car parks.
And we're about to get 3 more. Ryan, what have you got this week for us?
This week, I've got the Patreon pitch from none other than Matt Whitworth. Talking of car parks. The original car park
Lord. Yeah.
The car park lord. Imagine that if car park attendants had those sort of royal titles.
Well, my friend lived next door to the guy who invented NCP car parks.
Must have been loaded.
My friend was not loaded, but it was a quirk of the area he lived in where, normal people and the multimillionaires lived shoulder to shoulder.
Oh.
And I think, but his car park in his house was just a normal drive, which was quite disappointing. Space for like 3 or 4 cars.
See, I thought
but
you'd either have a multi-story house with a house with no stairs.
Yeah.
Where you have to go really elaborate way from floor to floor up a ramp. And that strangers would just wander into his house and sort of piss in the corners of his house. And that his wife felt unsafe at all times.
Mark, what's your ride, Mark? What have you got for us?
So I'm Mark Davison. I'm the chief ride engineer, and
all right,
mate. Steady. I am doing a park-wide experience called "Is This a Goal?"
Whoa!
Question mark.
I've also Anthony. Just before you, I've just realised I said Matt Whitworth's name. And then we went on a huge segue about car parks. I've not even said what
you didn't do his actual ride.
I've not said what his ride is. We just got so excited.
I think Matt Whitworth needs his own jingle as well. I should put that
tell us the ride. What is it?
So Matt Whitworth is proposing Roman Abramovich's managerial merry-go-round. Yep.
Lovely. And I've got parachute payments. Payments. But first, Mark, you've done an advert for a previous ride. What is it? Just play it, mate.
Yeah, I'll just chuck it on, shall I? Just chuck it on. Yeah, I did an advert for Wayne Lineker, who pitched us Wayne's World. Well, he sort of pitched it, but he was trapped in a testicle at the time, so we didn't get to hear his voice.
Let's have a listen.
Wayne Lineker didn't actually get to pitch us his ride because he was trapped inside a giant testicle. We did find his notes, and all they said was Wayne's World, but we've got no idea what that might be. So instead of doing an advert for a ride I've got no clue about, here's a field recording of a mouse on a hamster wheel having a bash at the Match of the Day theme.
Now, as you know, there's nothing in football that sounds more interesting, but yet is actually so dull as the term parachute payments.
Yeah.
It sounds like, a chairman jumping off a plane over a rival club on deadline day to deliver them 30 million quid for their star striker. And by the way, that's how transfers should always be made.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In reality, parachute payments are simply when you get relegated from the Premier League, the league give you ever dwindling amounts of cash. So you don't
spend on parachutes.
Basically liquidate yourself to spend on parachutes. So you don't crash onto the rocks of League Two in like 5 years' time.
It doesn't really work, does it? Because League Two is littered with former Premier League clubs.
Okay.
Anyway,
I think we can all agree that parachute payment sounds like it could be a fun ride at a theme park.
It could and should be, yes.
You're chucked out of a plane in a parachute. It's a fake plane, 100 metres up in the sky, because let's be honest, we're not going to have planes just circling around Footballland. We need to be real about this.
When you say it's a fake plane,
100 metres up in the sky, it's a big pole with a big ladder,
cool.
And it's like maybe a reconditioned Spitfire from the 1940s because British people like masturbating over the wall.
Yeah, we could borrow the one from the Rory dilapidated lap dance.
Did you say it's 100 metres in the air?
It's 100 metres, yeah, and we can tell that because we're going to time Usain Bolt to run up it, and if it's 9.58 seconds, then we'll know it's 100 metres.
I'm just not entirely sure that that's enough time and distance to open a parachute. You might just be killing everyone that jumps out of that fake plane.
You don't have a parachute, mate. you don't have a parachute, you're on a bungee rope. On the ground are a series of trampolines lined up, which gradually get smaller. You land on the first trampoline, which is a massive, massive trampoline, okay? And bounce high back up into the air, then land on the next one, slightly smaller jump, and then the next one, a smaller jump, until the final trampoline is just one of those like fitness ones that your mum bought in the 90s at a car boot sale, used like once, and then stashed away in the attic, along with, I think my mum at the same car boot sale bought Paul McKenna's self-confidence hypnosis video, which on VHS, which I watched once when I was 9 or 10, and it didn't give me any extra confidence.
Did you self-hypnotise?
Well, Paul McKenna's self-hypnosis videos were a bit of a phenomenon. Paul McKenna, big hypnotic performer, like showman, didn't he? He had his own TV show in the 90s.
Precursor to Darren Brown, wasn't he?
But when you buy his VHS, which is 2 VHSs, I seem to remember he had in the series. One was Stopping Smoking, and the other one was Supreme Self-Confidence with Paul McKenna. You actually watch it and it says things like at the start, like, you should not operate any heavy machinery while watching this VHS. Be careful.
There's a load of
sit with your eyes.
Underconfident digger drivers.
Who's running an extension lead out to a digger? Hold on. I don't want to. I've got such a busy day. If I just run this extension lead out the front while I pneumatic drill the tarmac because I want to lay a new drive.
Anyway, so the final trampoline gives you a nice tiny jump, and hey presto, you've landed safely. However, there is a slight twist, because some clubs do not land safely, as we've already said. Your Oldhams, your Boltons, your Wigan Athletics of this world. And to a lesser extent, clubs in the Championship, which are going to fall foul of FFP very soon, for example, Reading. There is a chasm next to the safe landing drop, whereas if you get the final bounce wrong, you will fall into a bottomless pit. But at the bottomless pit, it does have a bottom, and there's a gift shop at the bottom. So,
Right.
Can I ask why the double elasticity bounceability? You're on a bungee cord and you're hitting a trampoline. That's going to create a lot of bounce back. You're going to bounce over the height of the Spitfire that you've jumped out on.
Those are the lofty ideals of the yo-yo club, though, aren't they? Imagine rather than a proper bungee cord, it's more of a yo-yo string, as it were.
Likely to rip your head off, isn't it? I think my first question is, you've called this ride Parachute Payments, and yet there doesn't really seem to be a parachute in sight. It's relying mostly on bungee cords and trampolines and trampettes. Not to be confused with Lady Tramp.
How about then we give everyone a parachute backpack like they do get in parachutes, but it doesn't open?
Well, okay, I like that. That seems very realistic, that the parachute doesn't open, as we've sort of seen League One and League Two is absolutely chocker with ex-Premier League clubs. I think what people forget about parachutes is they're not very good. Can we not add an aspect of parachutes in this, that you maybe jump off or jump out the plane, the parachute opens, you've got an option to release from the parachute to drop onto the trampoline. So it's a bit like a kind of grabber game. You've got to time it right. Or you could, if you're sort of fearful, you could just, like many clubs, be blown off course into a sort of hinterland of League Two.
I get what you're saying. So how about we add in a massive wind machine that goes on and off intermittently in a sort of horizontal direction, so that people are still on the bungee cord, but maybe wearing those giant human bird suits that sometimes you see in a Red Bull advert, when people jump off mountains.
I mean, if we're desperate to get parachutes back in that and you need a kind of windsuit, could they not be wearing MC Hammer's parachute pants?
Or one of those like funny sort of parachute hats,
sorry.
like a
parachute hat?
A tiny parachute that's attached to your ears, and it's a real parachute, but it's a scale model of one.
Right.
You're gonna rip your ears off.
If you've got pierced ears, then you can actually pierce the parachute to both ears and use that as a bit of drag.
Well, I'm up for that. I think we definitely need some parachuting in this, if we're going to call it parachute payments.
I worry about the pierced ears idea. I think we're going to have lots of heavily bleeding people landing on the trampoline, followed a few minutes later by their earlobes floating gently to the ground. That's not good.
Different entry points is something that I'm quite keen on, and I wondered if we could maybe make this, at the Footballand turnstile, there's an option, just as we've got the option for, you can sign up to the running commentary aspect. Maybe we could have another turnstile at the entrance of Footballand, which is the parachute payments entrance, and it's sort of a gamble because essentially a lot of the clubs that go up and down, it is mostly about gambling. They take a punt on getting into the Premier League. They spend all their money when they come up, and then they're desperately in need of the parachute payments when they come down. And so the parachute payments turnstile could be people, go, oh, I'm gonna have a go at getting in to Footballand through the parachute payments entrance, and you go in, you're taken up in a plane, you're sort of then thrown out of the plane, and you've got to, eject your parachute, and as you're coming down, you've got to swipe your card through a PDQ machine, or it could be a contactless payment, but you've got to be close enough to actually get entry into the park. And if you fail to swipe or get the beep from your contactless payment, you are thrown out of the park and you're not allowed in.
Yeah, I like that.
That's contactless payment, or parachute payment, and parachute payment is obviously free. Yeah, totally. I think we should vote on this now.
Cool. Okay, let's vote on it. So all in favour of parachute payments, say aye. 3, 2, 1.
Aye. Lovely.
Gosh, thank you.
Down, down, up again, down, 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 down to down to down, 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 up again, down, 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 down to down to down. Get on the tramp, by which I mean a lean, bounce up and down like a spring machine, swinging all around like a bungee jump raver. Living like this is yo-yo behaviour. Fall from a jet, just don't forget to get all the loot from the toot-toot parachute. Yeah, that cushions the boot. And this is bad for your health, but it's good entertainment. At the end of the day, you get a parachute payment. Yeah, a parachute payment.
All right, Patreon.
It is.
A Patreon. It's Matt Whitworth. What's he got for us, Ryan?
Well, as I said, Matt Whitworth at the top. Roman Abramovich's managerial merry-go-round.
Love it.
Matt Whitworth says, I know you said as a child you didn't enjoy the teapots. I think he's talking to you, Anthony. I think he means teacups.
No, because I didn't mind them. I just didn't have a very heavy father,
your dad wasn't big enough.
I didn't get as much whip on them.
Yeah.
I did enjoy them. I enjoyed them in theory. It's just a lot of other children had very fat dads, and they got spinnier teacups.
I'll correct it. I know you said as a child, in theory, you didn't enjoy the teacups, but how about...
Because I didn't have a fat dad.
Okay, so it's... So we've got... Yeah, it's a carousel. I think right. What he's proposing is a carousel. It's a carousel, but instead of riding horses, you ride on the back of former Chelsea managers. Obviously, there would be 2 Mourinhos and yes, clothed. Obviously, there would be 2 Mourinhos and 2 Hiddinks, and then
riding a naked Ancelotti around.
Obviously, there would be 2 Mourinhos and 2 Hiddinks, and then one of each of the rest. Would need to be updated every 12 to 18 months, so might be expensive to maintain. I like that he's thinking about that. Thank you, Matt.
If you slap them on the bottom, will they go faster? Or is it just a traditional merry-go-round carousel where you're literally just riding
on the clothed
Chelsea managers,
former Chelsea managers,
clothed on the clothed backs?
Well, yeah.
And they're all wearing the same thing, or are they wearing what they traditionally wear, like AVB would wear a tracksuit?
Yeah, I think so. They've got to wear touchline attire.
I love how utterly pointless that would be, and I imagine it with absolute solemnity. It doesn't move that fast. There's just a load of Chelsea managers on all fours, being really
with
solemn,
poles like through their midriffs,
and people sat on them, just going round quite slowly for a long time,
slapping their bottoms to go faster,
which doesn't produce any result.
I mean, we could leave it at that. I mean, there's 15 of them, right? Because obviously we've got Mourinho twice and Hiddink twice.
How do we do that? Because there aren't 2 of them.
Well, it's like Madame Tussauds, like waxworks, I'm imagining. So, yeah, so you've got a slightly older Mourinho, a younger, fresher-faced Mourinho, an older Mourinho.
Do you remember the Kylie Minogue on all fours, Madame Tussauds? They had to keep replacing it because people would do obscene things to her rear end.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
That's true. So, I imagine even if we try and do a decent version of all these Chelsea managers and all fours, people are still going to want to look at the bums, aren't they?
They are going to want to look at the bums.
They're going to want to look at the bums, especially if they're on all fours. At this point, I think we should probably say not wax, being as we're in Qatar.
Just a melting Frank Lampard.
Puddle of Lampard.
Claudio Ranieri. Maybe he finished second, so maybe he could be silver. And Jose probably is definitely going to be gold, right? He's sort of the golden boy.
Sorry, Ryan. I'm sorry, mate, but I think they should be more lifelike than being made out of precious metals. I want to go back down the sex robot silicon route.
Okay, you want to reject hundreds of years of statue making, because you want silicon robots that you can look at, that you can touch their bums and it feels more like skin for you.
If you were riding a former manager, you'd want to go down the Madame Tussauds route rather than like a fairground horse, which doesn't look real. Like, I think if you ask any child going on a merry-go-round carousel, what would you rather? What kind of horse would you rather ride? A painted, resin horse or a real horse that's silicon, like a sex
How old is this child? This conversation I'm having with a 7-year-old child.
You wouldn't ask about the sex robot. You just say, like, okay,
so I'm asking a 7-year-old child.
Horses. What would you wear? This is the lifelike one.
Excuse me.
This is the resin one.
Excuse me, Johnny. Would you prefer, what material of manager would you prefer to ride? I've got this.
Yeah, but in this instance, Johnny's 37 and he's a Chelsea fan.
Right.
So he would definitely prefer lifelike.
Is there an option to have managers made of precious metal but with realistically rendered bottoms?
Yeah, just the bum. So you can slap that. And actually, there's a sensor in the bottom, which if you do slap it, it does go faster.
How is it going to go faster if it's fixed to a carousel? It's like Gus Hiddink is going to overtake Carlo Ancelotti on the way round. You'd be really shocked.
Why not? Why not? Because, I mean, have you ever been on a merry-go-round and thought, I'm having a great time here? No, because they don't actually race. And if you could have like a Scalextric sort of style attachment in the floor.
I like the idea of the speeding up. The alternate name for a merry-go-round is the gallopers or gallopers. And I think that they should start changing when people say managerial merry-go-round, they should say managerial gallopers.
And also, you can bring a betting element into it as well. People watching could be like looking at people's wrists and hands, like, that guy on the left, he's riding Avram Grant and he has got such a strong arm, like a good forearm in tennis. He is going to slap that bottom very quickly and very, very heavily.
I do agree. I think we should be injecting a bit more excitement into the sort of very genteel gallopers where the only sort of amusement for the person riding is that you sort of see your parents eight times in a minute. You sort of just go round. Hi, yeah, you wave to them.
Wave at them.
Hi, yeah.
While slapping a silicon bottom.
Yeah.
And you're 37 from Wandsworth. You've got your elderly parents that you've taken to Qatar. They remember the times when they took you 30 years ago to a fairground in Warwick.
Okay, so maybe we keep in the parental aspect and we do have like web links. We have a Zoom call for people whose sort of elderly parents can't get out of the care home.
Can't make it for mobility reasons.
Yeah, so we could definitely do that. I wondered I like the racing aspect, but I wondered if we could maybe, they talk about managers getting fired, and I wondered if we could maybe, or sacked or shot, could we combine this with some other fairground elements, like maybe a shooting gallery or something like that?
Yeah, bring back Ashley Cole and John Oster and have air rifles next to it, and if you manage to shoot the manager in the heart,
or head or face,
with your air rifle, then they will keel over and the rider will fall off.
It ties up with horse racing really nicely, doesn't it? It's, a horse can perform incredibly well, but just sort of have a moment of madness, leap over the barrier, and there's only the shotgun waiting for it, That becomes a much more exciting proposition. You sat on a resin and high-grade silicon replica of a former Chelsea manager.
With such a realistic bottom.
With a very realistic bottom, which you slap to increase the speed, playing into the Galapagos aspect. You're coming round and you've got to impress your parents that are on either there or on a web link because, there's nothing more important than impressing your parents. Exactly. You want to win this race. But at the same time...
The time difference as well. It might be in the middle of the night for these poor octogenarians back in Basingstoke, having to get up, watch my web link and wave to their middle-aged child.
I think that's the really important aspect into this. It's not just about going for it, going like the clappers, because you've got to time it, because there's Ashley Cole and John Oster waiting to snipe down your resin and silicone horse. So you've got to time it a bit like those old sort of Frogger and those games where you've got to cross the road. You've got to avoid the bullets. There's a lot going on, and that I think replicates how difficult it is to succeed at Chelsea. It is such a fine line.
That's the main hit.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Matt Whitworth.
I think it's brilliant, yeah.
Let's have a vote.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
All right. All those in favour of the Matt Whitworth, Roman Abramovich's managerial merry-go-round Galapagos shootout live link bottom slapping children's ride, say aye after 3. 1, 2, 3. Aye.
Brilliant.
Lovely.
Congratulations, Matt Whitworth.
Very
Well
nice.
done.
Young man, we're building Footballland. I said, young man,
or girl,
we could do with a hand. I said, young man,
or girl,
do you understand? You could get in on this. You need to head on to PATREON now. PATREON. Send us whatever you think. It might be good, it might stink. We will talk about it anyway. You need to head on to PATREON now. PATREON. Chuck in a couple of pound. We'll bat your thoughts all around, and it might just make our day.
Send us your ideas at patreon.com/Footballland.
Thank you.
All right, Mark, what have you got for us?
Okay, so this is an experience that will take over the whole day when you're in Footballland, and it's called Is This a Goal? It basically appeals to that desire within every single football fan, and I would argue some non-football fans, that whenever you see two of anything that may even half-heartedly represent goalposts, you want to boot something between it and roll away in celebration. We've all been bored in the office or at school or at home and created a free kick game.
I regularly kick my rolled up socks at the end of a night into the washing basket.
Yeah, and there's nothing better than doing that at the end of the day. So the crucial thing is, I think for reasons that will become obvious, this needs to be a secret competition. So I'm proposing 1 in 100 people that buy a ticket get chosen. It's like being announced for jury service. You receive a letter or an email that says you have been chosen to take part in Is This a Goal? So we send them, or we give them on entry to the park, a personalised football that has a microchip inside it. So we have placed around the park 100 things. It might be a pair of lampposts, a pair of waste paper bins, a doorway. These are goals, but not all of them are goals. So basically, at times when you're walking through the park, you have to shout, and this is crucial, is this a goal? And then you boot it between the two things that you're looking at. And if it's a goal, you score a point. If it's not a goal, then you lose a point.
Wow.
And if it is a goal and you miss, you lose a point. And then so I think there's 100 of these, but some of them are worth more points. I'm thinking we need a glass, like you've got to hoof the ball through a window. And if you score that and break the glass, that's 10 points. If it's just a normal pane of glass and you've broken it, then you lose 10 points. And what I'm particularly attracted to is the shock of other people maybe sitting sitting in a Scofiation nosh ball, and someone comes charging in and says, "Is this a goal?" and then hoofs the ball into the kitchen.
Right, Mark, one question very quickly. How do you know if it's a goal straight after? Because if anyone else twigs that it was indeed a goal, then people are going to descend on that set of lampposts because they know it's an easy point.
You have an app on your phone that so only you know whether you've just scored a goal or not.
But you're going to wheel away celebrating though, aren't you?
Well, that's part of the deception of the game. If you wheel away, you've just knocked the head chef out of the Scofiation nosh ball. You've lost the point, but you wheel away in celebration, and suddenly the already prone head chef is being bashed in the face by 10 more balls come flying in through the...
Bit like Cluedo, where you go into a room and go, ooh, even in.
Why is he spending so much time in the living room?
Could we kick a ball between an arguing couple?
Oh, yeah. Can you have mobile goals?
Yes, very much
Would
so.
they be paid actors?
Or would it be that any couple that descends into an argument immediately becomes a goal?
That is a good idea. You'd have to go up to them first and say, would each of you mind holding this RFD chip? And then something else is going to happen, and then you retreat and you score.
Could we maybe have an RFID chip in all of the Jack Grealish Shimpad
tickets?
That's good.
Yeah,
and so then they kind of switch on randomly as soon as a certain decibel or as soon as the Shimpad hears, I told you, then it becomes active.
Similarly, a couple proposing as well, because you could break the romance and the mysticism of that moment by booting a goal between a man down on one knee.
Something for the non-participants, the non-lucky few. Could it be that if you take a shot, it goes through, but if whoever's behind the goal sort of manages to head it back, that they then get some kind of special prize? It both replicates a sort of goal line clearance and that kind of that moment of gold when a shot misses and a spectator heads the ball back into play, which gets a massive cheer every time.
Yeah. Mark, what are your thoughts? And I'm surprised you haven't thought about this, and I think it's quite disrespectful. What about the day of silence across Footballand to remember everyone who has passed away in football that year, when the park's open as usual, but you have to be silent for the whole day? How can you shout, "Is this a goal"? But you've got to shout, "Is this a goal?" and you can't.
You're whispering. On that day, the sensitivity of the chips are turned up, so you whisper, "Is this a goal?" As you smash it into a non-goal glass, and just you've broken 10 windows. You're confident that the 11th is a goal. Is this a goal? And you hoof it through the 11th broken window, and it's still not a goal. You should probably look a bit sad.
It's like when you score against your old club.
Yeah.
The instant reaction is...
Should that be worth more points on that day? Should it be a harder day?
Like any day when you play against your former club and you score, it's always a somber occasion for you. You didn't want to score. Your manager made you score under duress. Yeah, it's like you're in a hostage situation. You're forced to score a goal. You don't like it one bit.
Yeah.
But you're professional till the end. I think that would be like, and that's what a lot of the former players who have now passed away would have wanted.
I think so. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
What about the Francis Jeffers of this world who poach on the line? What if you shout, "Is this a goal?" Yes, it is a goal. However, as you shoot, someone clocks that you're playing that game, they're playing too, and they boot the ball into the goal before it crosses the line. Do they get the point?
The ball is personalised to you, so no. But I think if it detects someone like that, you get a Francis Jeffers penalty, which, I don't know, your ears get stretched to 4 times the normal size in perpetuity.
Yeah, that's good.
Something like that.
But could there be an offside aspect to that? Because that's always that's the nicest moment when it doesn't happen to you, of course. It's clearly going in. It's sort of is it Nani? Yeah, when Ronaldo was scoring and then Nani, like a twat, just ran in and smashed it in the goal, but he was offside. If as well as your ears growing massive like Francis Jeffers, Ronaldo comes up and has a tantrum in your face. I think that would deter anybody from trying to kind of poach a goal for sure.
It would indeed.
Yeah. Just a quick thought. Could this start in the airport, in sort of Doha Airport, in sort of honour
like
of
the Nike advert,
like the 1998 Nike advert?
That's a brilliant idea, definitely. And I think, what better goalpost and quite a hard challenge than the security frame that you have to walk through?
Yeah.
Imagine bending one round that. and taking out a security guard.
Yeah, as soon as you've paid for your, if you've paid on the internet, that ball we send that in the post and people have to take it with them on the plane.
Yeah, maybe in midair, if you can get it into the cockpit, you're 20 points ahead before you've landed.
Yes, or it could be into the engine. I mean, that's the,
Oh, gosh, that's what birds do. Why can't humans, for goodness sake?
You can fly a plane on one engine, so I don't think we should discount that.
No.
Wait, that means you've got to get out of the plane in midair.
Completely, yeah. But that's Footballand.
And it's going to ruin the ball.
Well, that's true. The ball will go.
Shredded flaps.
Maybe if you can get it into the engine. Then
shredded flaps is my favourite cereal. Start your day with shredded flaps.
I was going to make a joke about porn stars then, but no. It's probably time to.
Yeah, probably time.
I think it's probably time.
Okay, Mark, you do the honours.
Yeah. Okay, so are we ready to vote on the park-wide experience? Is this a goal? All those in favour say aye. 3, 2, 1.
Aye.
Well done, Mark. That's awesome. Thank you.
Darling, yes, this is me getting down on one knee. Look, we've been together 2 years now, and I was wondering,
Is this a goal? Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't realise you were... Whoopsie.
That is it, everyone. That was Footballand. Yeah. We had 3 new rides. I've enjoyed every single one of them. Do you know what I'm going to do for, now on? I've been doing it for a couple of weeks now, putting a Twitter poll on the Footballand Twitter account of what is everyone's favourite ride out of those 3. Let's see. Yeah. Let's get some feedback, guys. Yeah. Let's see what's ringing with our engagement. So if you like any of those rides, if you like one in particular, don't forget to vote on the poll and become a patron so that you can pitch us all your rides, or become a sponsor, naming rights exclusive sponsor of one of our Footballand car parks.
And subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, subscribe.
And do all that other stuff that people
do all of that
other people say on other podcasts that we've forgotten.
Can we just play someone else's appeal? Because then that'll save us time.
Just do stuff, people.
Okay, right. Just do all the things that make us more popular. Just do those things. For goodness sake, you know what they are. You probably listen to other podcasts.
Yeah, you probably listen to more podcasts than us.
Lovely. All right, let's go. All right, I'm going to bed now. I'm going to bed.
Matt Whitworth.